Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, proud to support the mission of KPBS and privileged to serve San Diego clients. Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, helping homeowners maintain drain, heating, and cooling systems since 1978. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marco Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.
Good evening. It's Thursday, July 8th. Thanks for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. We begin tonight with yet another concern about the more contagious Delta variant that is now dominating new coronavirus cases in California. New research now supports that just one dose of the COVID-19 vaccine does not fully protect against it. KPBS health reporter Matt Hoffman explains.
New numbers show the Delta variant is growing, representing nearly half of all sequence cases in the state last month. But in San Diego County, the variant represented less than 10% of sequence cases.
Those 54 cases really are just the tip of the iceberg.
Infectious disease specialist Dr. Christian Ramers with Family Health Centers of San Diego says to keep in mind that sequencing data could be nearly a month delayed.
So the stuff that we see coming in those reports is late. That's sort of what happened 3 weeks ago. And I say that I think everything's Delta now because the speed with which it's taken over has just been really striking.
San Diego County health officials released new data showing some 140,000 residents have skipped their second doses of the Moderna or Pfizer vaccines, something that could have deadly consequences.
So early on, remember, we go back to last year, there weren't all the variants circulating around. The information was that, yeah, sure, one dose looks like it's pretty good. But that is really not true anymore when you bring Delta into the equation.
While nearly 1.9 million county residents are fully vaccinated, that means there's more than 1 million people who are not, either because they haven't gotten one or both shots, or they are minors who are not eligible yet.
This virus just looks for places to go and looks for people to infect. And as long as you're in a place where there's some unvaccinated people, it's going to find them. And the Delta variant is better at finding them than any other variant thus far.
New county data also shows that since the beginning of the year, more than 99% of COVID-19 related deaths, hospitalizations, and cases are from the unvaccinated.
And we're now living in a world where it's almost like two completely different populations. Those that are vaccinated, where they're having either totally asymptomatic or not infection at all, not going to the hospital. And 99% of the hospitalizations and deaths are really now caused in unvaccinated people. So the decision to not be vaccinated is basically getting more and more dangerous of a decision as we go forward.
Ramers was speaking to us from one of Family Health Center's monoclonal antibody treatment centers. The antibody therapy is used in newly discovered coronavirus cases and is proven to reduce hospitalizations. Matt Hoffman, KPBS News.
Pfizer says it is seeking authorization for a third dose of its COVID-19 vaccine. The company believes it could dramatically boost immunity and may offer additional protection from the virus variants. Public health officials will still have to decide if a third shot is needed. For more information about vaccinations and where to get one, visit our website, kpbs.org. We've made it easy to find with the vaccines link right there on our homepage. Today, President Joe Biden announced the U.S. military mission in Afghanistan will end on August 31st. It comes as the Taliban advances in parts of the country, leading some to call for an extension to the nearly 20-year war. President Biden had this question for them.
How many thousands more Americans' daughters and sons are you willing to risk? How long would you have them stay? Already we have members of our military whose parents fought in Afghanistan 20 years ago. I will not send another generation of Americans to war in Afghanistan with no reasonable expectation of achieving a different outcome.
He added that the U.S. did not go to Afghanistan to nation build, saying that responsibility falls on the Afghan people. The president also promised to relocate Afghans who helped in the U.S. mission, including interpreters and their families, before the troop withdrawal is complete. Governor Gavin Newsom is asking Californians to reduce their water use as the western United States faces a drought that is affecting our water supply. KPBS reporter Alexandra Rangel has more about the emergency order signed by the governor.
A second straight dry year has strained our water supplies.
Water reservoirs are quickly drying out in California. So Governor Gavin Newsom is declaring a drought emergency in 9 additional counties.
Those 9 include San Luis Obispo, Marin County, Inyo, Monterey County, Santa Barbara, Santa Clara, other counties.
He's also asking Californians to voluntarily reduce their water use by 15%.
We're hopeful that people will take that mindset that we brought into, people of the state of California will take that mindset they brought into the last drought and extend that forward with a 15% voluntary reduction.
The voluntary order also applies to industrial, commercial, and agriculture business sectors. He's asking everyone to do their part, as 42% of the state's population lives in a county under the drought emergency. The state Secretary of Natural Resources, Wade Crowfoot, says the effects of climate change are more evident than ever.
In the past week, temperatures as high as 17 degrees above average have exacerbated drought conditions across the entire American West.
As the West deals with high temperatures from a historic heat wave, the governor says a historic amount of money will go toward resources. He says more than $5 billion will be allocated to support the agriculture industry during the drought. Alexandra Rangel, KPBS News.
Fast action helped prevent another Panga boat incident from turning deadly. Rescue teams were on hand around 5 o'clock this morning at Moonlight Beach in Encinitas when 8 people were rounded up after the suspected smuggling boat they were on had capsized. One person was given CPR and rushed to the hospital. All 7 others also received treatment for hypothermia.
18 life vests were located on the beach, which indicate to us that there were up to 18 passengers inside the Panga. People were identified walking up the streets, leaving the area, so that's what oftentimes happens.
So far this fiscal year, more than 1,300 migrants have been encountered illegally entering the U.S. from the ocean. Earlier this year, 3 people died when a smuggling boat broke apart at Point Loma. In April, KPBS reported that California regulators allowed an accused sexual predator to work in local nursing homes while they investigated him. Now, the state has fined those facilities for violations related to the case. But KPBS's Amita Sharma says advocates argue the fines are too low to change behavior.
The California Department of Public Health has imposed a $16,000 fine against Parkway Hills Nursing Home in La Mesa. That's where ex-certified nursing assistant Matthew Flukiger is accused of raping a resident twice in 1 hour. Among other things, regulators cited the nursing home for lax background checks and not adequately monitoring inappropriate behavior by its staff. Officials also slapped a $2,000 fine on Avocado Post Acute in El Cajon, where Flukiger is accused of sexually assaulting another woman. The state says Avocado failed to immediately report the alleged incident.
I can't explain the levels of the fines in either of those cases. They both seem incredibly low.
Scott Fikes is a lawyer representing one of Flukiger's alleged victims. He and other advocates for nursing home residents say such light fines aren't enough to change behavior inside these homes.
The purpose of a fine is to punish the person who has performed a wrongful act and demonstrate to other people that if you perform that kind of act, there will be consequences. $16,000 doesn't stop anything.
Fikes says state regulators should publicly explain why those fines are so low. CDPH declined an interview, but told KPBS in an email that the maximum penalties for the Parkway Hills violations was $20,000. The $2,000 fine against Avocado was the maximum penalty California law allows for failing to report sexual abuse in a timely way. Amita Sharma, KPBS News.
A controversial new Alzheimer's drug is getting prescribing instructions that are likely to limit its use. The FDA says the change is intended to address confusion over who should get Aduhelm. The updated label says the drug is appropriate for patients with early or mild Alzheimer's. When it was approved last month, the instructions said simply it was for those with the disease in general. The drug has been criticized for its price and for its questionable benefits. A COVID-19 outbreak at California State Capitol has prompted the return of face masks throughout the building. As Lisey Mitri reports, there will be other rules as well.
It's absolutely essential. Assembly Speaker Anthony Rendon talked to us about the increased mask and testing requirements at the Capitol today.
We take health and safety extremely seriously. So for us, we're strengthening our mask mandate.
Once again, face masks are required for anyone coming into the Capitol at all times. So people who are vaccinated, working in private offices in the Capitol will have to mask up now, according to new rules for the Assembly and the Senate. The Secretary of the Senate sent out this notice saying there were 9 confirmed COVID-19 cases at the Capitol last week, 4 involving fully vaccinated people. Still, Speaker Rendon stresses the importance of getting vaccinated.
We know the vaccinations work. We also know the vaccinations, when there are those quote unquote breakthrough cases, we know that vaccinations reduce the impact of COVID.
He says about 84% of Assembly staff are vaccinated. Anyone working in the Capitol who isn't will now have to test for COVID twice a week. Rapid antigen tests will be administered in the Capitol basement every Monday and Thursday.
Downstairs on site makes it easier for staff.
That was Lisa Mitri reporting. Again, while 4 of the cases were in people who were fully vaccinated, state data shows such cases are rare. Less than half of 1% of vaccinated people have contracted the virus.
I'm Judy Woodruff. Tonight on the NewsHour, 4 million, a grim milestone in the pandemic as a new variant spreads. Coming up at 7 after Evening Edition on KPBS.
Crews are battling several wildfires in Northern California. The high heat is not helping matters either. Campgrounds and homes around Frenchman Lake in the Sierra Nevada are under evacuation orders due to a pair of lightning-sparked fires. About 20 square miles has burned in Plumas County, and overall containment is only 35%. New analysis from a team of scientists finds the recent deadly heat wave in the Pacific Northwest would have been virtually impossible without climate change. They say the record heat was at least 150 times more likely because of fossil fuel emissions. While it's a once-in-a-millennium event now, scientists warn it could soon happen every 5 or 10 years if carbon pollution continues.
We are stepping into a hot weekend, all because the temperatures are on the rise as a high pressure system strengthens overhead. Now, this high is going to keep us largely dry, as we'd expect. It will start to weaken heading into the middle of next week, so we'll get some ease of the heat then. Until then, though, heat advisories, excessive heat warnings in place for some of our locations because of those numbers headed up into Saturday and Sunday. Around the area, though, tonight, not too bad in San Diego, 68 for that low. A couple of clouds out there. Borrego Springs coming down to the mid-80s, while Mount Laguna hit 74. As we venture into tomorrow, this high is just starting to strengthen, and as it does so, that means our temperatures will be on the rise. There will be a few spotty showers and thunderstorms, mostly through the mountains underneath this high, and some of that could transfer into Southern California here. I think the chance for a shower, it's few and far between, but there is that small possibility as we venture through time. So tomorrow, dry and quiet in San Diego, 77 for the high. As we venture, though, towards Borrego Springs, 113, and places like Escondido in the mid-80s to even upper 80s. Futurecast taking us through time tomorrow morning, starting off with a few of those coastal clouds. They give way to more afternoon sun, but look at this, the mountains trying to spur that shower or thunderstorm. Not very likely. Maybe just a small chance out there. As we venture into Saturday, though, you'll notice again kind of more of the same story here, as we again should stay more comfortable towards the coast the start of our weekend. But this high, it's strengthening, and that means our temperatures will be on the rise because of it. So be prepared. Make sure you have the water handy. Temperatures, though, headed to the upper 70s, close to 80 degrees for Saturday and Sunday. Along the coast, temperatures will be back to the mid-70s for Monday and Tuesday. Meanwhile, we're headed close to 90 degrees for our inland locations, so starting to notice more of that temperature increase. Mountain locations a little higher than we want to be this time of year, but upper 70s, close to 80 is actually still pretty pleasant weather, and staying dry and bright right into the deserts where temperatures will be in the 115 range. For KPBS News, I'm AccuWeather meteorologist Melissa Constanzer.
California lost a congressional seat from a population drop and some high-profile residents, but UC San Diego researchers say reports of an exodus may have been greatly exaggerated. By a nearly 2-to-1 margin, Californians in the study said they still believe that it's a great place to live and raise a family. Latinos, African Americans, Asian Americans, and younger people are more optimistic. White respondents, older residents, and Republicans are more pessimistic. Middle-class Californians making between $50,000 and $100,000 are the most concerned about the state today, as well as its future.
Our hunch there, and this fits with data that we've seen in many of these other studies, is that's really where people are struggling to buy a home in California. Those are groups, people who can buy a house in many other states, but really struggle for home ownership in places like San Diego, LA, the Bay Area, and I think that is a policy worth addressing.
Researchers say while in the near term we aren't expecting a rush out of California, the study shows areas of concern like affordable housing that need to be addressed. What is old is new again. Taxi drivers say they are seeing an increase in business because rideshare services are getting more expensive. Amy Hollyfield has more on the shift.
You ask people in San Francisco who they call when they need a ride, and you hear a lot of this.
I'm usually taking Uber.
Lyft. If Uber's cheaper or Lyft is cheaper, depending on which one I usually catch.
But the habit of grabbing a ride share might be one you want to reconsider. If you check the prices, they have gone up.
Oh, I've noticed it where, to go 5 or 10 miles, it's like $60. You know what I mean? And one time it'll be $60 with Uber, then I'll go over to Lyft and it's $12. It makes no sense. It could be hit or miss. It could be a Wednesday afternoon. It could be a Friday night. It really doesn't matter. You just kind of have to look.
This price issue is pushing people to go old school and grab a cab.
In one word, it's just wonderful. I mean, these drivers have really been hit hard over the past year.
Han-Soo Kim says his taxi cab app company, Flywheel, has seen a significant increase in business as Uber and Lyft charge more for rides.
We're seeing just a record number of downloads this past few weeks. And mainly because Uber and Lyft have been surge pricing their rides here, which has, I think, alienated a lot of their customers.
In a statement to ABC 7 News, Lyft acknowledged demand is outpacing supply, saying earlier this spring, as vaccines rolled out and people started moving again, we began to see the demand for rides outpace the number of available drivers. We've added thousands of drivers in the past few weeks, and it's already leading to a better rider experience with wait times down more than 15% nationwide. And lucky for Uber and Lyft, not everyone has noticed yet, so they can possibly get more drivers on the road and get these price issues sorted out before things really get back to normal.
I have not taken a Lyft since the pandemic, so I have no idea about the prices.
That was Amy Hollyfield reporting. The Uber and Lyft driver shortage comes as many left ride shares to find new work during the pandemic and have yet to return. It's a problem for many students. Data from the Bureau of Labor Statistics shows there were 9.2 million job openings in May, about the same as in April. Meanwhile, employers only hired 5.9 million workers, leaving a large gap between labor supply and demand. Theme park stocks are hot as people venture back out for summer fun. Six Flags has seen its stock shoot up almost 25% this year, and it has more than doubled in the past 12 months. And the news is even better for SeaWorld, which also owns Busch Gardens and Sesame Place. That company's stock has gone up a whopping 205% over the past year, more than 50% in 2021 alone. A local nonprofit has received a no-strings-attached donation from one of the richest people in the world. KPBS reporter Melissa May tells us about the group working to empower at-risk youth through the arts.
A student plays an original song in a recording studio at the David's Harp Foundation, an organization that's about more than just music. What
we offer is a safe space for young people to be able to come
to learn something new, but also to meet somebody new.
Brandon Stepp is the founder and director of David's Harp, bringing at-risk youth together through the arts since 2007. He says it all started with a music studio he built in his father's garage in southeast San Diego.
Eventually, I let young people come in and trade good grades for studio time in that space. And so what I got to see is that when young people came into that space, they were different.
That studio garage grew into a nonprofit organization that started bringing music into schools, teen shelters, and eventually to the juvenile justice system. The foundation is named after the biblical David and the harp he played to lift the torment of the king. Stepp says just like the king, many of the students are tormented with potential gang involvement, homelessness, and even substance abuse.
But when they came into that studio space and they interacted with music, it's like the torment would be gone.
That's Riley playing some beats for us. He doesn't want his full name used because he's still on probation. He was in juvenile detention when he connected with David's Harp.
When they came, it's like a little light always came with them, like straight up. It's good in there, like when they came and there was no arguments, no nothing. We just wanted to be here with the music and the good people.
Riley now works for the foundation and knows what it means to at-risk youth.
It is crucial. I mean, it helps kids out because it helps them get back on their feet, you know? It helps them, surrounded them by good people, good equipment. You can't go wrong, you know?
Kasimi Childress is a David's Harp success story. He says he came from a family plagued by drugs and grew up in a group home.
I definitely think I would have been a menace to my own society. I think I definitely would have been part of the problem, not part of the solution.
An advocate connected him to David's Harp because of his love for music. He now serves on the foundation's board.
Don't ever pay it back. Pay it forward. So just understanding the value of that is something that I took from this program.
Childress spent 3 years in the program. He's now graduating early from the University of Laverne with plans to become an attorney. But music will always be a part of his life.
Music is forever, will be my place of peace.
The program is about more than just peace. Stepp says the students are also learning some important job skills.
We initially start with art. So we're teaching young people music production, videography. They're learning audio engineering. They're learning applied physics. They're learning about light and color and sound.
The group's work attracted the attention of billionaire philanthropist Mackenzie Scott. She gave David's Harp a donation of $1 million.
I have no clue how Mackenzie Scott found out about us, honestly. We are a small nonprofit here, but what I know is the community is very authentic and the word has spread kind of quickly nationally.
David's Harp is now in the Moniker Warehouse in downtown San Diego.
And it was the perfect space because here it is along the trolley tracks where young people can access it, and it's in a gang-neutral area, which all of those were essential.
Stepp says the donation will help build creative centers in different parts of the county. He says the foundation wants to partner with more community members to foster more creative youth development opportunities. A long way from that studio in a San Diego garage. Se va por la sombrita, que el sueño no me quita. Melissa May, KPBS News.
When the Olympic Games begin in Tokyo in 2 weeks, athletes will be competing in empty stadiums and arenas. Fans were banned after the capital was put under a state of emergency because of rising COVID infections and the highly contagious Delta variant. That means the Olympics will be a largely TV-only event. San Diegans will be representing Team USA in skateboarding. KPBS North County reporter Tanya Thorne has reaction from some local skaters.
For the very first time, skateboarding will be a part of the Summer Games. Hayden Acasio, an avid skateboarder in Oceanside, is excited to see the sport hit the big leagues.
It's crazy. We've been wanting skateboard Olympics probably for since skateboarding's been a thing. So it's kind of insane for us to see it on the big screen and everyone's going to be watching it. So it'll be sick.
Representing Team USA, 23 eager skateboarders ready to head to Tokyo to compete. 8 of them are from San Diego. The 3 competitors for the Women's Skateboard Park Division all have ties to North County. Liz Nguyen skates at Alex Road Skate Park in Oceanside and is excited to see some locals on the team.
I think that's awesome. Keeping it local is great, especially in North County. That's great, yeah.
Brighton Zuner from Encinitas will turn 17 just in time to compete in the Olympics and is the youngest ever X Games competitor. Bryce Wetstein and Jordan Barrett also have North County ties and have become a household name in the skateboarding community.
I'm just excited to be watching Bryce on TV, seeing at the Olympics.
Ocasio says North County skaters are excited to see some of their own make it to Tokyo.
I got to meet them and stuff, and they're so sick and so nice, and I'm hyped that they're representing our state and our country.
Skateboarding competitions will make their debut on July 25th. Although the Tokyo Games are taking place this year, they will be referred to as the 2020 Olympics. The opening ceremony will be on July 23rd. Tanya Thorne, KPBS News.
Here's another look at today's top stories. San Diego County health officials released new data showing some 140,000 residents have skipped their second doses of the Moderna and Pfizer vaccines. With the highly transmissible Delta variant spreading, doctors warn one dose does not offer enough protection. County data shows that since the beginning of the year, more than 99% of COVID-19 related deaths, hospitalizations, and cases were among the unvaccinated. And Governor Newsom is asking Californians to cut water use by 15% amid the worsening drought. For now, it's a request, not an order. The drought and continued hot weather is rapidly reducing reservoirs. Newsom also added 9 counties to the state's emergency drought proclamation, although San Diego County was not one of them. And you can find tonight's stories on our website, kpbs.org. Thank you for joining us. I'm Maya Trabulsi. Have a great evening.
Major funding for KPBS Evening Edition has been made possible in part by Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, proud to support the mission of KPBS and privileged to serve San Diego clients. Anderson Plumbing, Heating and Air, helping homeowners maintain drain, heating, and cooling systems since 1978. And by the Conrad Prebys Foundation, Darlene Marcos Shiley, and by the following. And by viewers like you. Thank you.
Always.